Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter promo code AAA to save 20% off any order. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully, so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/Android. And by Bitbucket from Atlassian. Bitbucket is the Git solution for professional teams. Start your free account today at bitbucket.org/forthecode.
Welcome to All About Android. This is episode 322, recorded live on Tuesday, June 13th, 2017. We are your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I am Florence Ion.
And I'm Ron Richards.
Woo!
And we are down a man. Unfortunately, Jason Howell is not here. He's homesick. We want to wish him the best. And also, we want to thank him because even though he's homesick, he did so much to pull the strings for this episode. And All About Android would not be the same without him, right, Florence?
We absolutely did, including hooking us up with our guest today, which is Nirav Gondia from AndroidAuthority.com. Hello, Nirav. How are you?
I'm good.
How are you doing today?
I don't really know where to look because there's like screens everywhere.
Just look at me, honey. It's fine.
That's really not helping, Flo.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Today, we are going to be discussing what's going on in the world of Android, including the future of the Google Pixel, where Essential Phone is going to be phoning home. And we're finally going to settle a debate of how to actually pronounce Huawei.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Huawei.
Yeah.
Brian, can you lead us into the news today, please?
Jason may be sick, but we've got your top picks, and there's no way to mispronounce Android news. Unless you call it something different.
This is very true. I mean, well, it might sound like we've got Apple news today, especially with this first little news item, which is that Google has hired a veteran chip architect away from Apple and is now looking to build its own chips, the future version of the Pixel phone, which is the fabled phone that nobody can quite agree on how many units have been sold thus far. It seems to be the big debate.
Yeah. Is it weird that this was an exclusive to Variety?
Yeah, so I was looking over that news today, Ron. Like, I was just looking over it. Yeah, so Variety had learned from its own sources familiar with the hire that Manu Gulati, who had been spearheading Apple's own chip development for about 8 years, he is now at Google. He's been there for the last few weeks, apparently, and he just recently announced his job change on his LinkedIn profile, people, because that's the way that we announce things this day, is we just change in the status on our LinkedIn profile. I haven't...
It could have been worse.
I mean,
he could have put it on Facebook.
It's very true, and then nobody would have seen it.
That's also true.
Maybe, possibly. Variety wouldn't have reported on it as an exclusive. Giulati, I think his last name's Giulati. I think I pronounced it wrong the first time. He started working at Apple in 2009, and he was instrumental to the company's efforts to build the custom chips for the iPad, the iPhone, and of course, the Apple TV, which I have never used inside my house, so I don't even know.
I have one.
I don't even know how that happens.
I think it's still in a box, like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, so this is interesting this week just because we've been talking a lot about Pixel rumors online, a little rumor mongering going on. I mean, we heard that like LG may or may not be making the next phone. Well, actually, we'll get to that in a bit. But what do you guys make of this like interesting trade-off of partners from different companies, essentially?
I think there's two ways to look at it. Because if you think back to the Nexus days, it was basically the same thing. It was who's going to make the next Nexus? Well, it's like, all right, let's just go through the list and work out who's left and who's not. And in total honesty, I think Google's just trying to work out who to work with, which is one of my punts, or the other one is maybe they don't want to favor one particular manufacturer, because if they do, what they're going to end up with is, at least from a public perspective, going, okay, Google favored that manufacturer, so everyone should go and buy that manufacturer's Android phones.
You think that has an impact?
Or for from the opposite side of things, that they're favoring one manufacturer, so then the other manufacturer then becomes more of a competitor.
Actually, that's a very good way to put it.
Right, like you look at it where, like, if they're showing favor to, I don't know, to, let's just say, an LG or an HTC or whomever you want to pick, and the other manufacturers might feel disgruntled and might double, triple, quadruple their efforts, make partnerships with other carriers, with it becomes more of a kind of cutthroat kind of competitive landscape. Whereas if you play nice with all of them at different times throughout the years, then none of them want to be on your bad side, so to speak. So it could be more of a very soft-handed bully tactic.
Oh my, a soft-handed bully tactic. I'm still, by the way, flabbergasted that I'm reading about this in Variety. Like, I'm just, I want to read a TV recap.
This is like the second or third straight up tech story that I've seen Variety not only covering but having the exclusive on, which I get. I get in today's day and age. I mean, you guys are working, in the trenches of media and blogging and writing about stuff. I mean, I guess everybody wants to have as many headlines and clicks as possible, but Variety just seems a little out of their field of view in this one.
It's about as relevant as when BuzzFeed suddenly went, oh, we're going to go from our content to let's start covering politics out of nowhere.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, more coverage on BuzzFeed. That was fun. So apparently back in 2015, though, just going back to this chip thing, I mean, Google had expressed there was a bit of a news in the information that it reported that Google was already in talks with other manufacturers. So this isn't new news. I think I'm just trying to wrap my head around the idea of Google becoming a hardware company, which is kind of...
That's what I took away from this the most, though, is that building custom chips for Pixel phones, and at the same time we're hearing rumors that LG might build the next Pixel. I think what Google's doing is Google is hedging their bets and going, dipping their toe into being a hardware company, one toe at a time. And what they're doing is they're getting the design right. Now they're going to have the chips right. Next thing, we might hear about camera. So, the components are all coming together, where then fast forward 5 years and they're a new Apple.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right there, because what they've got to offer is they're probably the only Android company of all, Samsung maybe being the exclusion, who have the ability to do what Apple do. And given that they have the source code and they can take Android in pretty much any direction they want to, they're the only ones who will have that vertical integration that Apple can offer. And Ron, I think you're right. You're going to see them go with chipsets. You're going to see them go down the various routes until they either buy an OEM or just go, all right, we've pretty much learned everything by working with you guys. Now we're gonna do it ourselves.
That's a really good point.
The big thing is, if you look at all the other OEMs, and I'm gonna go with Samsung here, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's clocked onto this. That's why Tizen. That's why they're all trying different things. And I mean, Google's obviously putting a lot more control in. They're going, it's powered by Android. They're trying to put that branding in there.
Yeah.
So even if these OEMs move away, everything's going to be synonymous with Android, which is essentially synonymous with Google. People call it the Google phone. It's powered by the Google.
They
like
do,
the average Joe.
but they call the Android phones that they get at Verizon the Galaxy phones.
That's also very true.
So it's like branding. I mean, branding as a whole, we could do an entire 3-hour show just on branding.
But I think we saw them move light years in the right direction with the Pixel in terms of branding it. Yes. It is the Google Pixel, right? Like there was little to no ambiguity around who was selling that phone. Google wasn't making it, but they looking at the billboards here in Manhattan and like the enormous kind of the outline of the phone and the big the red, yellow, and blue and green Google logo, like it was clear this is a Google phone. And I think that's the beginning of their ascendancy to basically we always pit it's Android versus iPhone, but I really think it's Google versus Samsung. That's what it is. I mean, Samsung is so dominant in the marketplace and they're building it on Google's shoulders that they want to be as competitive with Samsung as they are with the iPhone.
I think it's just really interesting that you bring that up because okay, this is a slight digression, but the little Samsung event that we went to last week, where we got to see some of the new Internet of Things and smart home devices with the Connect Home that they're launching. And I just couldn't help but thinking, this is Samsung trying to do it better than maybe what Google's offering with like Google Wi-Fi, for instance, and trying to get you to buy it into, you know, the smart things ecosystem. And then I just think about why is it that Google has to go against, why is it that it's going against its partners? You know what I mean? It doesn't make it sound like a nice, happy ecosystem of Android things.
Google's doing what others have done, including Microsoft, in that they're going... The fact about all these companies is you're going to end up with a lot of self-interest.
Yeah.
And I would say that for a while, Google took Samsung as a partner, and they were like really, really happy with the fact that they're partners. And it was like, great. Okay, Google was, I'm going to use the word using here, but using Samsung to build and kind of build awareness of the Android platform.
Partner. Yeah.
The big thing I think for Google is, until like Pixel and probably this last year, and even now, the fact is they didn't quite expect Samsung to suddenly become Samsung makes Galaxy equals Android. And that's the thing. Like, I know people who have LG phones, everything, and everyone's like, oh, it's just a Galaxy phone. Or can I have the new Galaxy? Can I have the new iPhone?
Right.
No one really cares, can I have an Android phone? It's like, they probably don't even know what it's powered by. And the thing about, I'd say, TouchWiz is if Samsung ever went to, the idea behind TouchWiz, at least in my eyes, is if Samsung ever went to and kind of moved away and maybe took on Tizen or whatever, that coherent interface where everyone's so used to it, they could basically issue a Galaxy S8 running Tizen as if they had the app support with the UI
and nobody would know that it wasn't Google's
and fool
Android.
a few people.
Right.
But here's why that won't happen, Arav, is because while Google has let Samsung and other manufacturers do that, but mainly Samsung build up this brand recognition, whatever, it was built on the shoulders of Google Play Services and the Google Play Store. And while Tizen, you know, like we thought, okay, Tizen is going to be Samsung's going to be breakaway from Android, but it doesn't have the app, it doesn't have the developer support. And so, like, if Samsung rolls out a Galaxy phone running Tizen and it doesn't have Instagram and it doesn't have Uber and it doesn't have Twitter and it doesn't have all the key apps that everybody needs, all the way down to Solitaire and all the other stuff, it's going to be dead in the water. You know, I think that's why Amazon is having to come back, and you know, with the rumors that we talked about last week of the new Ice phones, you know, that they're going to, you know, tie into Google Play Services and the Google Play Store, because Amazon realized they couldn't do it either.
Oh, that's right. You guys were talking about ice phones while I was in the desert last week.
Yes, the ice phone.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's very curious to see where Google's going to take the Pixel, and I guess at this point, you know, even though this is confirmed news with the chipset kind of designer, the rumors of who the next manufacturer will be it's up in the. I mean, we're now right in the clock ticking until like September when the announcement happens, or.
Yes, maybe September. Yeah. I'm still thinking it's going to be October, just because based on like the schedule that we've had, and like the new iPhone's supposed to be out in October or whatever. I don't even remember when it's supposed to be out.
Well, one thing that could.
Sorry, go on, Ron.
I was going to say, one thing that could tie into the announcement of the new Pixel phone is the next version of Android.
Yes.
And recently, Google launched the third developer preview for Android O, which still does not have a name. We still don't know if it's going to be Oreo or Oatmeal or Cookie or what. But you can go to developer.android.com or via the Android beta program and get the third developer preview. And this is a big one because this preview not only includes the updated SDK with the system images for Nexus 5X, Nexus 6P, Nexus Player, Pixel, Pixel XL, Pixel C, etc. But the big thing about this is that all the APIs are now final in Android O. So Android O is coming together, and it's looking like, you know, like how many of these developer previews do we get before they roll it out to, you know, kind of an actual official release? It's probably closer than we've ever been. So
I want to say it's 4. I feel like the magic number's 4 for some reason.
I kind of want to say, like, if we go back to last year, what did they? I think it was
last year was like 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
But that was a long preview. I mean, that started a lot earlier on in the year.
True, but if you look at Dev Preview 3, it's not exactly stable of any kind. It's still really buggy.
Yeah.
And if they're going to do what they did last year, where they go and the LG whatever is the first phone to run Android O.
Sorry. That was because that whole V20 thing was just like
Yeah, that made no sense. Maybe it was part of a deal who they struck. Anyway, if they're going to do that, then we'll see it in August maybe or September. I'm really going with we're going to see it.
And then it won't
October
be
or
launched
November.
until November.
Yeah, we're going to see it
Really
October or
what's gonna
November.
happen.
Yep.
I'm not running. I mean, TBH, I'm not running the developer preview yet. I can't. I can't live like that on the seat of my pants.
Jason's running it, and I don't think that's the cause of why he's missing the show today. I think it's something unrelated. But I know Jason's running it, and every now and like for the past couple of weeks on shows, he's doing a demo on another phone running Nougat, or there's a little like like you got this, it's definitely, your mileage may vary, and be careful when you're using these developer previews because they're not all there, and they're meant to be there for developers to to work out the kinks and the bugs, and it's not daily driver ready, I don't think yet. I think you got to get at least one more, at least the fourth version out before it starts addressing stability. Although in the release notes for Developer Preview 3 for this release, they did say they squashed a slew of bugs, like a ton of bugs were fixed. So who knows? Maybe the performance is a little better now.
Maybe, but I mean, shall we move on to our next little API?
Yes.
API story, which is that it was just sort of quickly pouring over it. But did you guys know that on reCAPTCHA's 10th birthday, the first reCAPTCHA Android API was released as part of the Google Play services? So basically with this API, reCAPTCHA can better tell humans and bots apart to help you when you're using your phone. It'll run this technology in the background, sort of look at run risk analysis behind the scenes, sort of figure out if, the pages that you're on, the forms that you're filling out are safe. Kind of works similar to what Google's doing with the Google Play Protect, the Play Store. reCAPTCHA anybody? CAPTCHAs are important. I like reCAPTCHA a lot. I've actually run into a situation for my day job where I'm running into having to plug in do the little image reCAPTCHA thing. Yes.
And where like click on the boxes with cars in them,
yes,
or the ones with street signs. And I just do it for fun now. I think it's great. So I mean, I think reCAPTCHA is a necessary good thing. And so I'm kind of surprised that they're finally rolling out an Android API. I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest.
Yeah, I just like the idea of these little things being added to sort of give off this sense of we're just making Android overall safer with all of these like little things, some things that you're more used to, some things that you're not used to.
I mean, it makes sense that they went to reCAPTCHA because everyone knows it.
It's true.
It's not like they've reinvented it and gone, oh, look at this, and everyone's like, how do I use this? It's like, oh, I know that box. I'm going to press tick, and then I'm going to go and hunt these really, really obscure images for like gas stations or something like that and click on them. And in my case, half the time it's be like, I'll click on one by accident. It's like, nope, try again. And I'm like, okay.
I mess them up all the time because I'm just not very good at finding all the pictures with the fences in them.
I love it. What I love is that I got one of those reCAPTCHA ones where it was like click on all the images with a storefront in it, and there was one looked like a sweet little hole in the wall taco joint somewhere, and I was like, oh, I want to go eat there. I was reading the signs on the window, but it doesn't tell you where they're from. So I wish there was more info behind the reCAPTCHA. Oh.
I do kind of I have been tempted at times where I'm like, I could just go and select all the right ones. But what if I just made this? How many times could I get this wrong? And how many different ones are they going to give me? It's kind of, it's almost like something I'm like, I wonder, should we have a little bit of investigative journalism here and try and find out how many different reCAPTCHAs there are?
It's a reverse puzzle. It's the nega reCAPTCHA. Yeah.
It would be a billion different patterns, really, if you think about it. If it's really the most, one of the most secure ways to secure something.
Because I've only ever seen 20, maybe. You see the same ones, and you're like, how many are there?
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
it's either that or Google knows it's me, and it just goes.
It's also possible. Yeah. Well, peeps, developers, if you're interested in this, you can head over to the Android Developers blog, check it out. iOS library will be coming eventually. They said keep an eye out for it. Although I'm very curious now how many iPhone users are watching the show right now. standing by. We're standing by.
No way we can solve that. So why don't we do an email flow?
Let's move on to the email as we're waiting.
Yes.
So this email is from Annette Lamas, and she writes in, the reviews of the Sony XZ Premium have been released, and 1+5 rumors hint to 8 gigs of RAM, and people still fume over LG's wisdom in fragmenting. Though there isn't any good answers to exactly why Sony disabled the fingerprint scanner in US models, because they're doing it again, I was wondering why many Asian, particularly Chinese phones, have more RAM than those in the US. For example, Samsung offers 6 gigs of RAM for its latest phones in Asia and 4 gigs in the US. Though Samsung chose the Qualcomm chips here due to CDMA support, I don't see how additional RAM contributes to this. HTC also did the same for the U11. Do you think it's fair or necessary to remove certain features for select markets? Thank you for the awesome show. Keep up the good work. I'm going to defer to you here for a second because I have a feeling you've used a majority of the phones that were mentioned here in this listicle.
Yeah, I kind of had them all.
Did you use the
place.
Xperia?
Literally,
XZ?
I gave it back to Josh yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I actually asked Sony this back at, I think it was MWC, and we got this traditional answer of, well, there's reasons. But digging into it, I don't know for sure, and I am taking a punt here, but I know we like to take punts and guesses and speculate.
Sure.
I reckon it's down to legal things.
So, but the thing is, remember last year, one of the Xperia C. I don't remember any of the models anymore.
Performance, play, whatever.
Whatever. So last year they did the same thing where they brought one of their phones over to the US and then they also disabled the fingerprint scanner on that, which maybe to some consumers is like not that big of a deal because
it's huge.
But it is in a sense just because we know that Sony kind of doesn't really have a business here, and why are you launching a phone with only some of its features? It's peculiar.
Let me add to that a little bit because they told us that actually their business, you know, based on the numbers, it's actually going towards the black in the US, which is awesome for them. I think it's may not even be down to legal things. I actually think a lot of it is internal.
Yeah.
And I honestly think unless you've been in those conversations, we're never going to find out why. When we asked them, are you going to? Their response was non-committal. So I'm going to go with, I reckon...
It's a very college answer.
Yeah, I had to find the best way to put it. There was some stuff where it was off the record, guys. But I think it comes down to, I reckon we've probably got all of this year and maybe the beginning part of next before we see them bring a fingerprint sensor, if at all.
If anybody is still buying their phones by then in the United States. What about this like weird, I guess, fragmentation of RAM, of just memory? I mean... all right, so there's two, I've got one semi-speculation and one that's, I think is pretty solid. On the record, I liked the 6 gigs in the OnePlus 3.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the 3T Midnight Black. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The thing flies.
Yeah, exactly. It really helped. But anyway, yeah, what do you reckon?
Oh, why, thank you. Okay, if we're going to go with the 2 reasons, I think, firstly, in Asia, numbers matter. People buy stuff just because it's like, oh, good. Look, it's got a processor that is 0.000001 gigahertz faster, but that to me is important because it gives me something to boast about to everybody else. And it's all a game of one-upmanship. That's pretty much Asia. The second thing, and this is more speculative, at least for me, is we all know, you know, between us, you don't need those specs. Really and truly, you don't. Like unless you've got however many 100 of apps running in the background. But in Asia, there's a ton more bloatware than there is here.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, they're like, in Asia, you can't really sell a phone without putting bloat on there. Well, you can, but
it's
bizarrely...
very expensive, isn't it? It's like prohibitively expensive.
Exactly, but people are used to having these apps. So what we consider bloatware, a lot of people consider essential preloaded apps. They're like the Baidu store or something. I'm not calling out Baidu, but I'm saying the Baidu store is like something that people want. But we all know that those are really resource intensive and they're going to be running in the background. So it comes down to, people aren't going to go, oh, it's down to the bloat. They're going to go, oh, my phone is slow, this phone is slow, which is why they'll boost the RAM because it's the cheapest and easiest way to ensure some level of parity in terms of the performance versus what's available in the Western market, where it's all kind of a lot more cleaner, less bloat.
I went to a slightly darker place in my head, and I just figured that the reason there's more RAM on Samsung phones is because of their processors. Which is dark. It's just
hey, I don't knock it. I mean, I prefer the Exynos over the Snapdragon. Just saying.
Well, I don't have enough experience with Exynos to be able to really make that claim.
I'm from Europe, so everything's Exynos there.
I think a lot of these phones have different kind of, there's stuff under the hood that we don't know about how they're doing the memory management, whether it's with the processor or the bloatware or the software or even tweaks to the OS. Honestly, I gave up trying to guess why they changed them per market a long time ago. It just, the variety is the spice of life, right?
It is, right. But I mean, if it's confusing you, the consumer,
All right, well, let's take a break and let's thank our first sponsor of this episode. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Tracker. Listen, if you're like me, you go through the ritual of trying to look for your keys. First, you check the obvious places, like the couch, the kitchen, your pockets, your coat. Then you check the weird places like the bathroom, the fridge, the hamper. And then you start getting creative, I'm looking at you, cookie jar. It happened once. I left my keys in the cookie jar. 8 years ago, Tracker changed everything when they released their first tracking device. And now they've done it again with the all-new Tracker Pixel. With Tracker Pixel, you'll never worry about losing your things again. Tracker Pixel is the lightest Bluetooth tracking device on the market. Place Tracker Pixel on whatever you tend to lose, keys, wallets, even your pet. It's small enough to fit on your smallest items. When you misplace an item that has a Tracker Pixel attached, you use your smartphone, and a 90 decibel alert will help you find it in seconds. It even has powerful LED lights so you can find your items in the dark. Lose your phone? Just press the button on your Tracker Pixel and your phone rings, even if it's on silent. And I've tested this and it works and it's amazing. You can even locate your item if it's miles away because every Tracker user is part of the largest crowd locate network in the world. And Tracker's 30-day money-back guarantee means you truly have nothing to lose. So listen, if you lose stuff, Tracker is the way to make sure you keep track of your stuff. See, it's right there in the name, Tracker. So go to thetracker.com and enter promo code AAA to save 20% off any order. That's TheTracker.com, promo code AAA for 20% off. And we thank Tracker for supporting All About Android and helping me never lose my keys ever again. Thank you, Tracker. All right, Brian, head us into hardware. All right, well, woke up this past Sunday and Monday and to some big news about Essential. So listen, I'm this close to having a Google alert set for Essential phone because I'm so I'm glued to the news about the Essential phone. I've decided that once that ocean blue, whatever the ocean green color comes out, I'm putting my money down. I'm going to do it. So every time there's Essential news, I'm all about it. And sure enough, woke up to see in USA Today that the Essential phone would be exclusive to a carrier, which is something that I advocated. Remember, I said they need to get in with a carrier.
You did, yes.
And turns out that carrier is Sprint, which then had me go, Sprint. And of course, the inevitable question is why Sprint? And not Andy Rubin, but the president of Essential, Niccolo Di Masi, told USA Today that we like to bet where we think the market is going as opposed to where the market was. I feel like we're a new brand and a new consumer electronics company, and we are partnering with the network of the future. So my question, and Narav, maybe you can chime in on this, is Sprint the network of the future? Or
given that I am from the UK, so I know very little about US carriers, even I can tell you highly unlikely.
That was my thought. And it was funny because Monday I talked to a bunch of friends, and literally two different friends, one in New York, one in California, don't know each other, independent conversations. One of them said, oh, wow, Sprint, no thanks. And completely dismissed getting the phone at all, even though I pointed out, they'll sell it unlocked from their website. He's like, I don't want it if it's on Sprint, right? And then the other friend said that he asked a couple of his friends, and they all were immediately said, oh, I don't want a phone that's on Sprint. Is Sprint that damaged of a network carrier here that it's going to turn people off this phone entirely? Is this a bad move?
I think it depends on the region. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I think for numerous reasons, it's a bad move. And actually... Yeah. I don't think it's anything to do with the carrier. That all sounded like total marketing mumbo jumbo.
It did.
I think it comes down to money. And I'm trying to remember, because I remember reading about this actually, I think it was earlier today. I can't remember where, which doesn't help at all in the slightest, I know. But there is a common investor between Essential Phone and Sprint.
Oh.
There's one person I believe
This is getting hot.
who has a common investment in both. I'm trying to remember, was it today or yesterday? But I'm almost certain there is somebody, and that could potentially be one of the reasons why.
That's really interesting. I'm doing a quick search, but I'm not seeing anything. But I wouldn't be surprised. My thought was that Sprint just dropped a truckload of cash to get it from Essential.
You mean the way they?
Yeah, so Sprint has got really no juice in the marketplace right now, right? The only thing they got going for them is they stole Verizon's spokesperson,
Yes.
right? Which I think is lame and not a good move, right? And they got nothing. T-Mobile is doing all this great innovative stuff with all, with their service and all this sort of stuff. AT&T is a behemoth, and Sprint really has nothing else going on, and so they get what is supposed to be the next iPhone. They get the exclusive of it, right? And then did you see the other news today, actually, that they announced that if you switch carriers, they'll give you a year of free unlimited service?
What?
That came out earlier this morning. Here, I'll put this in the there you go, Brian. You can do The Verge had it. If you switch to Sprint, they will give you a year of free unlimited service. And so I think Sprint's going for it, and I think these are the first moves that Sprint's making to really take it.
Okay.
Really go after.
That deck. Desperate times call for desperate promos. I mean, could that be any more on the money?
The question is, what's a free year of unlimited service worth if, you don't really get a lot of service and the carrier's not that good?
Exactly. If you're not really getting full speeds.
Here's a year of unlimited something. We're not going to quite call it service. It'll be somewhere in the middle of what you're used to. Because it's free, you're not going to complain. Really and truly, most people are going to go, well, because it's free, I'm just going to keep my line with another carrier in a year. I'm just going to go.
Well, so the details that they're saying is that you need to own the phone. So if you already own your phone, this is not a new phone purchase. Like if you already have a phone, all you need to do is switch carriers, and you'll get free service through July 31st, 2018. And it's not totally free. There's like a $7.99 payment that you got to pay each month, for the e-billing and all the taxes and fees and things like that. But so what they're saying is that with that you get unlimited data, talk, and text. You get unlimited 4G LTE data. 10 gigabyte of high-speed data per line to use towards a hotspot, VPN, or peer-to-peer usage, HD streaming, music at 1.5 megabits per second, video speeds up to 1080p streaming, gaming streams at 8 megabits per second, or Mbps, whatever, I'm saying the wrong thing. So it looks like it's their service. So whether or not you get good service in your region for Sprint or not, if you're in a region where Sprint is good and dominant, you might want to consider this. You can save money on your bill. But I think these are examples that I think for whatever reason, Sprint is going for it. They're trying to recover, and that I find that very curious.
I couldn't help but notice that whole the chat there and the mention of SoftBank, because I think that could be the differentiator behind why Sprint's going on the craziness, because to SoftBank putting all this money up really doesn't matter so much because they have a bucket load of it.
Yes.
So it's for them, not for Sprint, but for SoftBank, it's literally what I would classify as just a punt. Do all of this and see if it works. And if it does, well, Sprint's going to be on the rise. If it doesn't, Sprint might suffer, but to SoftBank, it's a write-off at the end of the day.
Now, what's interesting, though, is that SoftBank was the VC firm that killed the $100 million investment in Essential a couple of months ago. If you remember, because that was the conflict, because they had this venture fund that one of the $1 billion partner was Apple. And so the prevailing thought was that they pulled out of Essential because Apple, called foul because they didn't want them investing in a competitor phone. So maybe this is a way to, I don't know how this stuff that goes on that we'll never know about. But that's interesting that SoftBank and Sprint are talking about the merger stuff going on right now in the financial space. Who knows? But Sprint's making moves.
It is making moves.
I want to further underscore, though, that you can get the Essential phone from their website directly. You don't need to be a Sprint customer to use it. It comes unlocked. So this is just them getting in the storefront of a carrier. And this is something that I've said that if a hardware startup wants to get critical mass, they need to team with a carrier, whether it's T-Mobile, AT&T, or Sprint. They need to do that. You don't see OnePlus doing this. Nextbit didn't do it. You know, how many other companies can you only buy from their website, and therefore it's only going to be people like us? This, I think, gives Essential a chance to get out to a wider audience, even if it's Sprint.
But is this going to start like a wave of a whole pattern of just exclusives coming to carriers, and that's we're going to go back into this game?
I really, really hope not, because, okay, so at least in the US, the carriers have dominated this market for years and years on end. But in Europe, we've seen that massive transition towards direct to customers, and it's worked. And for about a year and a bit, it thought that actually the US was heading this way, where all these carriers are fighting over stuff.
Yeah.
What the carriers in the US have realized is, and what OEMs have realized, and Ron, you're right, at the end of the day, for anyone here to be successful, because that model is so ingrained with, oh, I'm just going to pop down to my local Verizon store or Best Buy. There's a lot of people in this country who, frankly, probably just don't know any better to go and look for this online and go to Amazon, because they're like, oh, I could do that, but then if anything goes wrong, I'll go to the store.
It's not the norm. People aren't used to it. Like,
exactly.
You don't go online and buy your own stuff. You go into a
no, yeah, your question, I think we are going to see that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's people like us who know to go to a phone manufacturer and buy it from directly, or even what Unlocked is. You pull someone on the street and be like, do you know what an Unlocked phone? They might not even know what it is. The millions of people literally just go to the cell phone store, and if it happens to be Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint, whatever one is in their neighborhood, that's the one that they go to. And I think that if a company like Essential is going to be successful, they need to get into those stores. I don't think people are going to be savvy enough to buy direct from manufacturers on a wide scale position to become as competitive with. That's how Samsung got to be where they are by the 18. Yeah,
Samsung is probably the only Android OEM, Google aside, who could probably actually get away with now without the carrier partnerships. Because if you look at the S8, the fact it was up for pre-order direct from Samsung unlocked. Unlike last year where the S7 was months behind.
The unlocked one, you mean?
Yeah, the unlocked one. This one was available to buy at the same time.
I thought it was available a couple weeks later.
To pre-order a couple.
You pre-order it and then
came out a couple of weeks later. Next year, you might even see them go, it's available at the same time. And Samsung, because if Samsung can cut out carrier partners and instead do the Apple model of taking activations, because I actually bought an S8 from Samsung's website, they prompt you, they send you loads of emails afterwards to go, hey, go and make sure you activate it. Hey, do you want to activate a SIM card? Do you want to do all of this before? So instead of carriers taking a chunk of Samsung's money from the phone sales, Samsung can actually take a commission off the carriers as well as the phone themselves. And in the UK, that's where independent retailers have suddenly gone to that model of going, well, we'll get the phones ourselves. I mean, there was a retailer called Phones for Use, a complete tangent, but that crashed and burned because it relied on carriers. The other major retailer, Car from Warehouse, which is Best Buy, etc.,
which I was just thinking about. Yes,
they have gone that they have their entire own device supply chain, and then they just take a massive commission off network of carriers to do that. I think that's what you might start seeing with a lot of Android OEMs who want carrier partnerships, but don't want to give away such a large amount of control to carriers.
Right.
Well, now, I mean, we just have to look at the phones that are coming in the future and hope that they become a hit on their own. Like, this is my attempt at a transition into our next news story, which is a larger version of the Google Pixel XL may be in your future thanks to some rumblings on the internet. So as Android Police reported earlier this week, there were rumblings that Google had shelved its plans to release one of its upcoming Pixel smartphones in favor of a larger device. So basically a Pixel XXL, if we think about it in that sense. The device, which was originally codenamed Muskie, which, yes, is a fish, I am told, as I Wikipedia'd it. It was supposed to be the follow-up to the Pixel XL, but instead we'll be meeting with Timon, which was a rumor put out earlier this year by a couple of other Android blogs. So essentially, we're looking at a future with a small regular-sized Pixel and a giant-sized Pixel. How does that fit in with our dreams and hopes and fears?
It's probably what's expected, let's be honest. It's a given. I'm just hoping that they go, okay, with the giant size at least, let's not keep these big chunky bezels, because if they do, it's just going to be.
I was just thinking about that.
mess.
How many bezels are we going to have on these next phones?
What have I been saying? That the future is bezel-less. And hopefully they take a lesson from Essential and they figure out how to minimize those bezels, especially on these big phones where it just looks like it's all bezel.
I'm just curious about what the design paradigm is going to be like, considering if we are having like a different manufacturer, as all the rumors are saying, for the Pixel. I mean, is it going to look like this phone? Is it going to be a little different? Are we going to see, traces of whoever the next manufacturer is, the way that we do in this one? Is that really a model that Google should keep going?
Well, Flo, you know what I want to see. I want to see something with a completely new design paradigm. I want something that doesn't look like anything that's ever come out before. Like I want them to push to push to the edges of the design.
Literally push to the edges of the design.
Exactly.
That's kind of somewhat what Samsung was trying to do, but again, it looks very similar to everything you've got elsewhere. But I'm with you, Ron. I think we can all agree, phones just look a bit boring.
Yep.
It's difficult to get truly excited by going, oh, this shiny new thing looks like all the other shiny new things that have just come before it. And unless there's a paradigm shift, all the other shiny new things that are about to come in the future.
Have you guys seen the Motorola commercials that have been coming out lately? There's one that's been on like YouTube TV, which I guess is just on whatever channels I watch, and it's about the Moto Z. And it's like, phones have been looking the same since whatever back in the day. Like, this is a new phone. It's different. You could put stuff on it.
It looks the same.
But it looks the exact same as every other phone. It's just that it has magnets on the back.
What would, at least Ron, so what would a new form factor and design look like to you?
Well, I mean, my dream is it's completely like I don't really want the Samsung curved glass kind of thing, but I don't want any sort of frame. I don't want any sort of bezel, and do something different with the interface, or do something with the. I mean, I know there's only so much you could do where you just have a rectangle of glass and then electronics behind it. But like I did like what Samsung did with the button behind the glass, the home button behind the glass, like things like that where you could make it look different. But then like everyone who watches the show, but Narav, my daily driver is the Nextbit Robin, which looked unlike anything else, and like that's what I loved about it, was that people would say, "What is that? That doesn't look like any phone I've ever seen."
It still gets comments.
I mean, that's a really nice phone though, looks wise.
Yeah,
it is. So. It's cute. You know what else is cute, gentlemen? I brought something a little cute to play with today. This is actually our next little segment today in our hardware block. Sans Jason Howell, who we are always thinking of when he is not here.
It's like he's all right. He's home.
He's fine. Like he's at home. He's probably watching us right now, being like, "Why are you guys being so melodramatic?" So today on the show, I bring you let's go over here, Brian, real quick. Sorry, I bring you the FLIR One Pro camera. This is an infrared camera. It's used to look at the temperature of things in your life, whether those things are electronics, humans, pets, a wall, a pipe, a toilet, whatever you might need to see. Just all these household items. So this little thermal imaging camera, this guy is the professional version of the regular FLIR one, which retails for $200, but this one retails, I believe, for $400 because it has a larger sensor, a higher capacity sensor, and a higher capacity camera. So these two cameras that you see right here, one of them does the thermal imaging and the other one is just a 12 megapixel camera, according to the spec sheet. So I want to show this to you guys, but I just want to give you complete disclosure that it's very possible it might not work, because I have been using it for the past couple of months, past couple of weeks, and the software that's associated with it is very beta. So it has a propensity to crash and not work. I don't really know.
Like a lot of FLIR products. I mean, they make amazing products, but I've had similar things.
Well, so let's just one little last thing about this, if you're just curious, and since I have us on the camera here, is that this little FLIR One Pro has an adjustable USB-C plug, which is really nice because the last one was micro USB, and well, the problem with micro USB is it only goes in one way, and if it's backwards, well, it's the wrong way. But I don't know. Let's play with this really quick and see if it works. Let's actually see if it turns on. Oh no, it's red. That's not good. So my big problem with this camera is that the battery is not good. It does not. It's not.
Is that a technical term?
It's not good, guys. It just like I never know. Okay, so now there's an update today that just happened. So now we're gonna do this. So I apologize. So sorry, guys. Way to prepare, Flo. Good job. Let's just talk about the battery real quick. So the battery is supposed to last for up to an hour, but I can barely eke out like 15 minutes out of this thing. It just dies.
Why would you want it for more than 15 minutes, though?
So you can do a time lapse with the app that comes with it. It's just called the FLIR One app. Okay, I got it working finally. So let's take a thermal photo of you.
Uh-oh.
As soon as I put in the camera the right way. Like facing Narav would help. See if this works. Okay, this is working. So you guys know this FLIR One is using MSX technology, which is multispectral dynamic imaging. That's the thing that FLIR has come up with. And we're looking at Narav. Let's see how hot you are. There's no easier way to...
Fair point. There is no other way to put that.
This is in Fahrenheit, everyone, by the way, because I am American. So your face is about 89 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Just FYI.
Very valuable information.
It's very valuable. This is a lot more helpful if you're like inside the house. So you guys probably can't see this on the camera, but there's like a tiny little sort of opaque thermal opaque degree overlay that says how hot Narav's face is, and your face is 88 degrees Fahrenheit in this photo. So I'd just like you to know. That's how flush your face is at the moment. And if you notice with this camera, there's actually incredible detail. So you can see like all the heat points around. What kind of material is this? Is polyester? Cotton?
Not a clue.
No idea? Well,
no idea.
This is how you're breathing inside of it. Just so you know. That's your body's breath.
So what's the practical purpose of this?
The practical purpose of this, so I wrote a little preview of it. I just did a preview because, like I said, the app was just very beta. But the practical application for this is essentially if you are working, you're a contractor, you're doing remodeling on your house, maybe you're a plumber and you need this for work.
So you're looking for leaks, or you're looking for where the heat is coming from. Yeah, okay, I could see that.
There's me. There's the light.
I could see that actually. There's probably a lot of network IT guys, like where you're looking for where, hotspots are in a room or something like that, yeah.
So our lights, by the way, are burning here at, 100 something degrees Fahrenheit, 107 degrees Fahrenheit, everyone. That's what it's, you can't see it on screen, but.
Yeah.
So the thing about FLIR is they made all of this for F1 cars.
They did.
I actually went to Red Bull's factory in England last year with FLIR and checked out like how they use all of this for the thermal imaging for the wheels and stuff like that. And you know where this might actually come in useful is for people doing car testing and MOTs and car garages, to be able to see where the hot spots are, especially if things like when it comes to testing exhausts, because I've had enough dodgy exhausts in my life to know that can be very difficult to pinpoint exactly where the problem is. And if you can take a picture like this and identify what's running too hot, tire pressure, things like that, there's loads of different uses. But from a consumer perspective, yes, you might want to know how hot your phone is or how hot you are.
This article is on AndroidCentral.com, which is the site that I write for, everyone. So if you'd like to go over to AndroidCentral.com and look at me using this on various smartphones. Yeah, I was testing to see how hot smartphones get from like my one. Oh, this is a little video I did in my room. See how this is facing a window, by the way. So it's very slow. the camera because it's processing a lot. I mean, it's fusing together 2 images from 2 different cameras in essentially, yes. Why are we giggling?
Sorry, I'm laughing because I've just seen a comment there in the chat, which is just amazing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the FLIR one. If you don't want to spend $400 for this thing, you don't have to. I mean, there's a cheaper one out there.
It
seems like it's very specific to professional use. So this is a tool that somebody needs to do their job better versus, hey, look, I got a thermal imaging camera. Let me take pictures of my friends.
Well, I'll have you guys know that while we were doing that, when I started it up, this was at 50%, and it immediately dropped down to like 20% on the app.
Wow.
So just like, I don't know what's happening with this battery, so that's just what it is. But it's the FLIR One Pro. Still playing with it. Still kind of getting the feels for. I want to get it in the hands of someone who like would really
get it to a mechanic. Get it to a mechanic or a plumber or somebody like that. Or give it to.
I can't give it to you.
Oh,
because you write for a different website.
Oh, that's fine.
So,
aside from the fact this is live and available on Recap, no one needs to know about any of that. It's fine.
All right. Well, one last one to cover here in hardware, and this is a topic close to our hearts. Actually, we were talking a little earlier ago about 6 gig RAM, phones with 6 gig of RAM, and so the folks over at Huawei announced the Honor 9 for China. The Honor 9 is going to have a 5.15-inch 1080p display. It's running the Kirin 960 chipset with a 3100 milliamp battery. There's a 4 gig and a 6 gig model, and either 64 gig or 128 gig of expandable storage. And it's going to ship with Android 7 Nougat, as we would expect. And it's got a dual camera setup with a combination of a 12 megapixel and 20 megapixel sensors. And there's an 8 megapixel on the front. And it's going to be, it's going to cost you. The base one is going to cost about $300. Well, the 2 higher-end models are going to be closer to the $400 or so. So there's a new Honor 9 for you with the Kirin 960 processor, 6 gig of RAM. Exciting stuff. Anything about the Honor 9? Are we excited for this phone?
I really liked the Honor 8 last year. I thought it was a beautiful phone, a pretty little phone.
I thought so.
For millennials, which is for David Beckham's son and his friends, Brooklyn Beckham and his friends.
That was that one. You're right. Yeah, that was the
Brooklyn
phone.
Beckham and his skateboard coming out. And
that was the bizarre presentation, right?
Yes, and Huawei Honor gave him his own skateboard. Gave him a skateboard. So there's an Honor skateboard out there floating in the Beckham household. So that's the update on the Beckham family today. The update on the Honor 9. When is this coming to the U.S.? I think we're going to see it in a couple months. Are they going to bring it here? I don't even know how many units of the Honor 8 sold. That was an unlocked phone.
I don't know numbers around units, but I don't know if they will bring it here. I think it depends on the features. Unless it's going to truly stand out and they can do it at a crazy good price, they're not gonna. And does that? I looked at it. It looks okay, but there's nothing that truly goes wow. Whereas the Honor 8 looked, because it had the killer design.
You mean there's nothing that truly goes Huawei?
Well, speaking of that,
I was trying to segue into that.
That's a good segue. That's a good Huawei segue.
Huawei.
Smooth.
It's all you, Florence. I know.
Yes.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Just trying. All right. So we got some feedback from an anonymous about the way to pronounce Huawei. And those of you who don't know, Huawei, they are the brains behind Honor, which is why that segue happened.
We've wrestled with the pronunciation of,
we have
particularly
been.
I have, we've said Huawei, Huawei. There's been a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's kind of a shtick, and kind of keeping up the shtick. But apparently there is a video out there that completely just crushes this and settles this debate. So we thought the video is about 5 years old too, which is funny because there's no need for this to have been a debate. But here it is. Brian, why don't you roll? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Hey, here we are in Times Square, ready to introduce the people of New York to Huawei. Now let's see if they'll be able to pronounce it.
All right, that's all we have to say. Anyway, so it's the dorky streets of New York. Can you pronounce Huawei? But that is an official video from Huawei with their pronunciation, Wahwey. So everyone complained that we're mispronouncing it. It's Huawei. We're sticking to it.
And you should go. Yes, go ahead.
Based on everything I've heard in China, that's not actually right.
That's great.
I don't know. Well, I can tell you,
I've been to China with them 4 times, and I actually remember this. My first ever time in China was 2 years ago with Huawei. Even I call them Huawei because it's just the easiest way. But I think, and they were like, "Oh, that's not how you know it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then they pulled up the video and they were like, "Yeah, but this is how we say it for a Western audience." But Chinese people go Huawei or so Huawei, or even I can't do it. It's way too difficult to pronounce.
So what you're saying is that I need to put a little bit of spit into it.
I never said that. Oh. I was trying and it just came out very wrong. But
so I thought that's what you were going for. And
there's a very, I don't know.
Oddly enough, I just quickly looked, and sure enough, my favorite spot for stupid questions and answers on Quora.
Yes,
Brian, I put it into the chat room. So someone did say, how do you pronounce Huawei? And the top answer explains that they say that it's Huawei. And Brian, the link is in the chat if you want to put that up on here. But if you zoom in at the bottom of the first answer, it says, although the Mandarin romanization is normally pronounced Huawei, HWA-WAY, the Cantonese pronunciation is more like Huawei. So.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, so there are some cultural differentiations here. I mean, we're talking like, whoa, this might actually be pretty deep.
Flo, we're talking wah. Not whoa, wah.
We're never going to pronounce it right on this show.
We tried to put a nail in the coffin on this topic, but now we've just opened up to 3 other pronunciations. So
I think it's safe to say that
welcome to our hell.
No one's ever going to be able to pronounce it properly. But the funny thing is, hey, it's a talking point. It gets people talking because they're like, just how do you actually pronounce that damn thing?
It's true.
So
most people give up.
All right.
I'm giving up.
Let's give up. All right, let's take a moment to pause before we give up and thank our next sponsor. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, and we thank them for their support. And if you ever purchased a house, I have. The mortgage experience is pretty much archaic. It's not really keeping up with the times. It was dated. It needs to be client-focused and a technical revolution, and that's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. They stepped up to the challenge, and now Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you, which is very important. It's convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And of course, it's powerful. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, Rocket Mortgage is able to perform thousands of calculations in seconds. Based on your income, assets, and credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of the home loan options for you that you qualify for and find the one that's right for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. So to get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Android. That's rocketmortgage.com/Android. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for the support of All About Android and for making buying a home easier. I gotta tell you, this is a great thing to do. If you're looking to buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. And we thank them for their support. All right, let's move on into the apps.
I always appreciate the cool melody of the apps intro.
A little calming, a little zen.
It's really calming. Here, and if you're feeling calm today and you are a Google Local Guides, there's some really good news today. I don't know if you, Ron, do you use Local Guides at all?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, so full disclosure, I have used them. I am only a level 3, however, but today there were new levels introduced. So the way it works is once you hit 500 points, that was kind of like topping it out. So basically for every review that you leave and every suggestion that you leave for Locals Guides, like you get points, and these points let you unlock parts of the app. But now Google's sort of expanding the program a little bit so that when you hit a certain level, you're getting a little more than just like, the ability to get into a beta part of the app. So now they're running like a little promotion where if you sign up and get in, guides who get to level 4 will now get 3 months of free access to Google Play Music and 75% off rentals in the Play Movie Store. So there are incentives for you to sort of like jump in to this service. This is a part of Google Maps, so you can find it in Google Maps, or you could probably find it in the Chrome browser, and then it'll just kind of work through there. And you can write your little reviews of places you like to go, maybe a rock overlooking a beautiful spot where you like to think. You can let other people know you like to think there, and then you'll get points toward free stuff in the Play Store. So have at it. Google local guides. Go check it out. See if the thing.
If it's for you, a lot of local. A lot of people use local guides. I happen not to, but I know a lot of people who do. So it's cool
do.
There.
I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, Google's been busy. I feel like this is a lot of Google talk. But I was startled when I opened up my phone this morning and went to type something and noticed that Google's Gboard had updated overnight. At least for me, if you got the latest update to Google Gboard, you might have noticed that it looks a little different, but it's got a bunch of new features, including the ability to draw an emoji and have it match the emoji. If you scroll down, Brian, you can see kind of a GIF of that working.
So it's like the Android Wear, Wear?
Yeah, we've seen this in other keyboards where you can draw an emoji and then it's matching the shape. Or I believe we tested this with another keyboard drawing poo. And that to hilarity, the poo emoji. So in addition to that, they've also got bigger buttons to allow you to navigate amongst text, which if you scroll back up, Brian, that's the screenshot there. It's the top of it, which I love this because trying to navigate through a paragraph of text on my phone with my fat fingers and my small keys has been miserable. So that's really great. And then they're also suggesting phrases to you similar to how SwiftKey did that a little while ago. So as you're typing something, it's guessing what what is here in the example that show suggesting you type what do you, and they're suggesting do you think, as opposed to the next words, kind of predictive text.
What do you mean?
Gboard is awesome. I think it's great. It's the keyboard I'm using. I moved off of SwiftKey onto it. And with the GIF integration and the emoji stuff, it's just a great keyboard. So I'm glad to see them keeping it up to date. And
next Google item of the
the last Google item is that we've heard some rumblings about visual search for Android, and over on the XDA Developers Forum there was there's an exclusive hands-on view of visual search for Android, and I gotta admit, looking at this is really cool. Basically, this is Google Goggles reborn, folks. You're able to use your camera to point it at something, and then using the power of Google, you can search for it and identify, okay, there's a pair of jeans, that now it's going to search and find where you can buy those jeans, how much they are. Really, really cool stuff. Flo, did you get a chance to look at this? What do you think of it?
No, to be honest, I was reading like some of the comments in the XDA, this thing, and there were people that were very dubious about it. So I kind of skipped it over. But now just looking at it, I think it reminds me a lot of what Samsung's attempting to do with Bixby Vision. But when I heard about Bixby Vision, that's what I thought about Google Goggles. So it's, look, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it when it comes out.
What's interesting is that it's not open-ended. What they're doing, so they've got categories that are that they're identifying, the searching for. So like clothing, shoes, handbags, sunglasses, barcodes, products, places, cats, dogs, and flowers. So
you'll be able to identify anything essentially organic in your life that is hard to Google. Like that. The idea is, what is hard to Google? You just point your camera on it and Google will find it for you. So now when you need to know what the heck a dog breed is, I'm assuming you just point the camera at it and
that's actually
a Bichon Frise.
I'd use that for dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of dogs in the building and I'm getting tired of asking the same question every single time to the same dog owners. So what breed is that? You asked me last time. I'm like, I don't remember the 500 different breeds of a dog. I barely know 5 of them.
Here's the problem with that, Narav, is that as opposed to asking the owner what breed of dog it is, now you want them to stand still while you take your phone out and then line the dog up in the viewfinder and then say, no, hold on a second. Oh, okay, cool, that's a corgi. Thanks.
Sit. Good boy. Need to take
It could
a
be
picture.
worse. that's asking a dog to stand still. But say you will get people out there who will try and, use that for clothing they'll go up to someone and go, do you mind if I just take a picture of you? I need to know where you bought your outfit.
Right. That probably will. That happens a lot, actually, in women's bathrooms. I'll have you all know, where we'll often compliment each other's outfits or makeup, and oh my God, where did you get that? And yes, I'm completely calling out a cliche, but it's true. And I would use my phone in that situation. Hold on, girl. Let me take a picture.
You might look a bit more creepier than just asking.
In the bathroom, at the concert hall, where it's too smoky and the red lights, and I can't actually take a picture of you, but I'm going to try anyway.
Jeez. I can't see how that would be mistaken for anything other than what it is. It's just take a picture of clothing.
You know what? It doesn't matter as long as it's capitalism. It's capitalism at its finest. Wow. At its finest. Speaking of capitalism, not speaking of capitalism at all, but we are talking about apps. So, Ron, I believe you brought this app into the arena. I did. 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I did.
Yes, so Astro today got an update which adds both Slack and Alexa integration. So basically this app now, and I actually hooked all this up today in the Slack app, which is kind of awesome because now I'm just getting all of my important email from priority people like Jason and Ron to my Slack instead of having to go check and I use the Google Suite. At present, Astro works for the Google apps and for Office 365. I believe they're going to add Exchange integration and things of the sort further down the line, but it's pretty cool. Check it out. It's free.
Astro is awesome, and I'm moving from Polymail to Astro on the desktop, and mainly we talked about in the arena. So go back. I think it was 2 episodes. I think it was episode 320, where it didn't win the arena, which should have. But aside from the AI chatbot, which I could give or take. Just the way it's synced between my mobile app and the desktop app, and just the way the whole thing kind of worked, it gelled for me. This integration is really cool. I don't care so much about Alexa. I would love to see Google Assistant or Google Home integration, which the fact that they rolled out Alexa and Slack makes me think that they'll probably do Google Home as soon as they can. But the Slack integration is really interesting because basically if you plug this in, you never have to leave Slack, which is great. But that was the whole purpose of Slack, was to get rid of email. So I'm really curious I got to ask my friends who work at Slack what they think of this, because Slack is meant to be be more productive through the day. Don't send as many emails, be live chat. So if you're just importing email into Slack, that kind of defeats the purpose, but it's cool.
That's another 3-hour show.
But chances are they'll be people are going to spend more time in Slack and not go anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. So this once you install this and you integrate it with whatever Slack channels you use, it puts the bot inside Slack. You can just talk to it to get your email. So yeah, if you need to just pull up a very quick email, it's very helpful for things like that. I'm going to be using it and checking it out. Ron, I guess you're switching to it. I know, Ron, you've been on the quest for the best whatever mail app you can find because they sunsetted your fave.
Yeah, for me, because Dropbox killed my beloved inbox or mailbox, whatever. Yeah, mailbox, and I've been using the Gmail app on the phone mainly, and Gmail on the web. But I'm an old Eudora then Thunderbird user. I like having a email client on my desktop, and even though I'm using Gmail in the web browser, I've got 6 tabs open with 6 different email accounts going. I just want to have one window with an email client, and Astro lets me do that now. So
what are you? Are you a Windows or a PC? Windows or a Mac user?
Mac user. Mac.
The two that I can recommend. This is complete tangent, but it comes to mind.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
Kiwi for Gmail isn't bad because it's kind of a separate window and it's basically Gmail in a wrapper.
Yep. But I've used it. Yep. I used Spark a little and I moved on a while. I used Spark when it first came out and then I moved on. I don't know why. I've been using Polymail on the desktop, which is cool, but Polymail there's no Android app for. And so what I really want is I want the desktop and the mobile app to be on the same platform, and that's what Astro gives me. So
interesting.
Yeah. So, again, I can talk for hours about email clients for sure. I mean, it's in messaging. But
another 3-hour show again.
Another 3-hour show, yeah. All right,
we'll be here all week by this rate.
Let's pause and thank our last sponsor of the show, and we want to thank Bitbucket from Atlassian for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And let's be honest, if you're a developer, your code is your world. You create it, you tweak it, you lovingly obsess over it every day. You live and breathe your code. So picking the right repository management tool is super important. Only the best for your code, right? That's what you deserve. That's why the team at Atlassian created Bitbucket. Bitbucket is the Git solution for professional teams. It helps over 5 million developers build with a purpose. Bitbucket gives teams of all sizes free private repositories with state-of-the-art features. They've got the world's best pull request algorithm. Pull requests facilitate code reviews. Collaborate right in the code with inline comments, threaded conversations, and mentions, which is super, super efficient and a great way to deal with, everyone having the comments on code. You don't want it to be too messy. Inline comments, threaded conversations, and mentions make it that much easier to collaborate with your coworkers. They've got built-in continuous delivery, branch permissions that help prevent errors by controlling the actions users can perform, and you can get granular permissions at the project, repository, or branch level. And of course, integrations with your favorite tools like Docker, AWS, and Azure. And because Bitbucket comes from Atlassian, it offers the best Jira integration available, giving your team everything you need to take your code from concept to customer. So, I work with a lot of developers. I do a lot of product management stuff and code repositories. Every project starts with a good code repository, and the teams that I've worked on that use Bitbucket are the teams that actually get stuff done and ship code. And I got to believe that Bitbucket is a big part of that. So definitely the folks at Atlassian know what they're doing with Bitbucket. And, it's as evidenced by over 900,000 teams love Bitbucket. It's used by companies like Ford, PayPal, Starbucks, Pandora, and it's really the only collaborative Git solution that massively scales. So Bitbucket is for the code that takes us to Mars. The code's the human genome and drives your next car. So visit bitbucket.org/forthecode to start your free account. That's bitbucket.org/forthecode. Try Bitbucket today. What is your code going to do? Let's see what you can do. Thank you, Bitbucket and Atlassian, for supporting All About Android. And with that said, it's time to go to the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Brian was mimicking the reel behind the camera, and it was making us all giggle.
Oh, nice.
So last week I was not here, episode 320, so I did not receive any points because I did not exist last week. But who did win last week is it looks like we've got 54% of the votes for Todoist last week, 23% of the votes for Fortune City, and 22% for Chameleon Color adapting LWP. So I guess the guests were the winners. So
Derek Walter came in with Todoist, which we were shocked that Todoist hadn't been in the arena as of yet.
I can't believe that either.
Yeah, and then neck and neck, I had Fortune City, so I got second place, and Jason came in last with Chameleon Color adapting LWP. And so that said, with those results, our standings through 23 weeks of All About Android, and thank you to Wade County in the chat room for keeping track of this. Flo, you were in last with 56 points. You had climbed out of the basement, but that guest win went past you. Guests are now in third place with 59 points. Jason's got in second place at 62 points, and I'm still sitting on top with 66 points. And I think it's really interesting that I have not come in first in a while, and yet I'm in first in the standings, which is the beauty of how this all works.
I need to stop taking time off.
I know.
Because apparently it's not helping my overall score.
Yep. So that said, Flo, since you weren't here last week, we'll let you start. You can go first.
All right. So, guys, I've got an easy little app that I'm showing off today. Really funny and cute. It's funny and cute. You might even make something funny and cute with it. It's called Patternator. Bum-ba-da. Bum-ba-da. You can make patterns with it. It's super easy. You can make a pattern from pre-patterned shapes. Yes, there are ads inside of it, but it's a pattern maker that's free. So that's what happens, comes with the territory. So you can either make a pattern based on just like a little character that's in the app, or what you can do is, let's see, I'm taking this off camera really quick so that we don't accidentally bring something bad up. So let's take this picture of, okay, we're back here. Let's take this picture. Thank you, Brian. Of Luke Perry, which was sent to me today by my brother from another mother, Ron Richards. So we're going to turn Luke Perry into a pattern.
Awesome.
So if you want, you can actually make it into a sticker. Which I actually kind of forgot how to do that. So we're just not going to show it in this demo. But I had made a sticker of this earlier, so it does exist. And you can choose like the different ways that the little pattern objects are facing. So here we have Adil McKay looking at himself in perpetuity. I can never pronounce that word in real life.
Perpetuity.
You could change the angle if you want, just make it a little kooky. You can, there's different backgrounds to choose from. And of course, when you're all done, all you have to do, guys, is just save it and share it to the web. It's super silly. There's no, all it is, it's to make patterns. It's called the Patternator. And it's free.
That's a good name.
Very, very simple app.
All right, cool.
So up next, we got Narav.
Narav's going to show off his game.
So, yeah, wait, where do I put this?
That is a good question. Put it right over here where my hand is. Is that comfy for you? You comfy right there? You comfy here?
That will do. I can play
okay.
this game anywhere.
All right, cool.
Okay,
I'll help you with the camera angles.
I'm going to try and move this around.
Yeah, no, move the mic as you need it. So it's right in front of you.
We're totally organized, as you can see. Anyway.
The screen.
So, I've only just installed it on this because I actually forgot to install it on this phone.
The name of your game.
The name of the game is Defense Zone 3 HD. Now, I'm not a massive gamer. And the thing about games is I, don't get a lot of time. And when I do, I want a game that kind of ticks a lot of the boxes. For this one, it combines strategy with RPG with, and it also just being able to reaction times and things like that. So I'm just going to quickly show you how it works. But one of the things, here we go, ads. I should have been more prepared.
Ads. Another 3-hour show we could do.
There we go. I hate them without a thing. The thing I like about this game is the premise is really straightforward. You can see where you've got, in this case, you're going to have tanks coming in from that direction there. They're going to be going round. You have a series of different options of what.
So you have tanks coming from around the screen.
Yeah, basically from off the screen. And your simple task is to stop them from. This demo's not going really well at all. Sorry.
It's okay. It looks pretty. You want to describe it a little bit for the audio listeners?
So the game is, imagine it takes relatively mundane scenes. So it might be like a township, or it might take a castle. And imagine it just basically puts you in the scenario of you are a controller of war. I think that's the only way I could actually put. I have no idea how to describe this, but it's fun nonetheless. It's meant to be playing? Oh, there we go. I forgot to press play. Whoops. This demo is going really well. I promise you, once you get past the first level, which are a bit easy, and I put this in the wrong place, you can see all of these little people, like these little army people running across. What I've got here is a rocket launcher, and I'm just going to run you through this here. Like, you've got different options. You've got like a machine gun, so I could put that here, and it would take them out as they come round. You've got like lasers, you've got lightning, you've got big turrets and things like that. What I like about this, though, is there is so much going on. This is nothing, and I play this more on an iPhone than I do actually on an Android phone because I change Android phones all the time. Once you're actually into this, you could be here for an hour and a half playing this, and you need to have lightning fast reactions to be able to see, like, you'll have people, this is a very simple scene, but you might have enemies coming in from all sorts of directions, and you need to be able to manage various weapons at the same time to be able to try and hit.
Sounds like StarCraft.
Kind of is, but just super complex, and it's really addictive.
Yeah.
Like, I have actually spent on Defense Zone 3 I think I've spent over 2 hours on a single level without realizing it, and then realized I should probably do some work right now. So that's my pick of the game, and I promise the next time I'm on, I'll be a bit more prepared to show off an actual demo.
It looks pretty.
It's a really cool game.
It looks really pretty. It looks like the Google Maps overlay.
Very cool.
That's why they have the press videos. It's good.
Yeah, so you don't need to rely on
Nice
people like me.
No.
I'm only joking. It's fine.
All right. Well, thanks. That's a very good game.
Defense Zone 3.
Yeah. If you have nothing to do, I highly recommend it. If you have a busy life, I don't, because everything else goes. For the first 5 minutes, you'll be like, oh, it's okay. You'll get addicted. And then all bets are off, and I cannot be held responsible if you get nothing done.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
That's a good caveat. I like it. All right.
And if anyone from my company is watching, this never happened.
So the last app here, the Rita, is mine, and it is called Privacy Screen Guard and Filter. And actually, Flo, I thought of you when I was doing this app, because I feel like this could be something that you could use if you're ever standing on the subway or
and you're writing your husband a text message about the person that you're standing next to, and you don't want that person to see what you're. Yes, that's me.
Or
Go on,
you're texting your friend about how you're trying to do a review, and the other host is doing it for you.
Sorry.
No, but basically, if you're ever standing on your phone in a crowded area, whether it's the train, the subway, plane, or any sort of thing, I see it happen all the time in Manhattan. I see people standing on the subway, looking over people's shoulders, reading the phone in front of them, and it's really kind of this like weird invasion of privacy thing. Although you're in public and these phones are so easy to see and that sort of thing, what Privacy Screen Guard Filter does is allows you to add an overlay to your phone, which has a little window that's either in the shape of a circle or a rectangle, and you can change the brightness of the rest of your phone so that you can black out the rest of the screen and only what is available in the window is visible. So if you're reading a text or you're texting someone, you can make the rest of the screen unreadable. With phones like the Pixel XL or these, no, that's not the Samsung Note. We don't have to worry about that now. But the extra large phones, it's even easier for people to peer over your shoulder and see what you're doing. And this is really elegantly well done. And Flo, actually, were you able to install it on your phone?
Yeah, so I'm having a technical difficulty at the moment.
Well then don't worry about it then.
So I apologize.
Well, we showed the Google Play Store images. That
did, and I apologize. I'm something's going on with my permissions right now. I'm not sure why it's.
So if you download and install this app, you have a notification where you can toggle it on and off. So you can use your phone as regular, pull down your notification, say turn it back on. It puts on the privacy window. In the settings, you can adjust the brightness, like I mentioned. You can also adjust the shape, and then you can move it up and down and around your screen based on the little controls, and then simply turn it off. That's it. Super simple, super effective. Have privacy on your phone when you're in a very public place. Hell, even I've done this. Once I was at a baseball game, and the guy in front of me spent the entire game texting a lady as they were making plans for after the game, and it got very graphic. It was more entertaining than the baseball game in front of me. So let's just say that if he had this app, I wouldn't have seen how graphic it was. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. It would have been just like that. That's all you can see. You can see my eyes as I'm trying to move. There we go. So there it is. Privacy Screen Guard and Filter. It's free in the Google Play Store. No worries.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with my permissions. It didn't want to permit it.
It's okay, Florence. Let's move on. So you can vote in the poll this week by going to bit.ly/AA poll 322. That's bit.ly/AA poll 322. And now we see who Brian's going to vote for. He's did the cash. Oh, thank you, Brian, for Privacy Screen Guard and Filter.
Brian needs privacy in his life.
Yes. So there it is. Vote once. Don't vote often. Let's make Jason proud by having a good arena. So there it is.
Let's have a good arena, everyone. Let's give it up for Jason.
Yes, bro. Jason, you are missed every time you're not on the show. So, but that's going to wrap it up. Nirav, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
It was awesome to have you on.
Thank you guys for having me. This was like the most bizarre last minute thing, but so much fun.
Good.
Excellent.
I'm glad. You got anything you wanna plug, or let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you, where they can follow you on the internet?
Pretty much Nirav everywhere, apart from Nirav G on Instagram. So you see that at Nirav or at Nirav G. And yeah, so I just want to say, one of the reasons I don't have Defense Zone on here it's because I actually only switched back to my S8 this morning because I was using something which I can't talk about. And yeah, I'm just going to say the next couple of weeks are going to be lots and lots of fun towards the end of the month.
And is there a site you would like to plug?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's a good point. Yeah, you can always find me on AndroidAuthority.com. You know, we do amazing stuff on YouTube, and we're on Android Auth on Twitter and AndroidAuthority.com.
Cool. Ron, thanks for being here today.
Hey, I'm doing this from the comfort of my home, so I just had to get up from the couch back there and sit down here. But it's always a pleasure. Yeah, you can follow me at Twitter. I'm at RonXO on Twitter, and that's where I'm posting about all my nonsense and other stuff I'm working on. And you can check out my other podcasts over at ifanboy.com, where we're talking about comic books every week. Every Sunday we talk about the new comics that come out, and then we also talk about the new comics, TV, and movies. We did our Wonder Woman review, came out a couple weeks ago. We're getting ready for Spider-Man Homecoming in July. It's we're right in the middle of superhero movie season, so it's a lot of fun over at ifanboy.com. And of course, we're a third of the way through the new season of Twin Peaks on Showtime over at damnfinepodcast.com. Where me and Tom Merritt are analyzing the return of Twin Peaks to television. And this past week, I got to welcome back one of my favorite actors of all time, Harry Dean Stanton. And so you can hear me gush about that on the podcast at damnfinepodcast.com. So
that's amazing, Ron.
I love Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know Harry? He was the dad in Pretty in Pink. He was an alien. I mean, the dude has got such an amazing IMDb profile. So anyway.
Hashtag goals. Brian, I just want to thank you for being over there and working your magic today.
Pushing all the buttons.
Just, and sending good vibes from
Brian.
Yeah.
Every episode I'll send the good vibes. Whether or not they're received is another question.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, good job tonight, Flo. It's never easy driving the show without Jason. Miss that guy.
No,
so
it's, not the norm. Brian, do you have anything you wanna tell the world about?
Actually, me and Nathan Oliver Giles is going to be doing Know How with me for the next few weeks, as Padre is going to be gone for a couple months. So tune into that. It's going to be a little bit different of a show. I think we're going to focus on the things that we're good at. So video games, motorcycles, cars, shooting video, PCs, all that good stuff on Know How here on Twit. And you can follow me at cranky_hippo. I'm
excited to see what shenanigans you guys get up to while Padre is out, quite honestly. Well, you guys know where you can find me. It's at androidcentral.com or on the web at OhThatFlow on Twitter and OhThatFlow on Snapchat. And that is our show for today. Don't forget that you can sign up for the Twit newsletter at twit.tv/newsletter. You can get behind the scenes stuff, find out what's coming up in the reel. You want to leave us a voicemail, which we do absolutely love. The number is 347-SHOW AAA. You can also leave us an email and video mail, which we also love at AAA@twit.tv. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Android Show, on Reddit at twit.aaa.reddit.com, and you can get the show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. And you can catch us live every Tuesday starting at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Time. Thank you guys for sticking with us today. And we'll see you next week.